What's the most badass thing your grandma ever did? I rushed to the nursing home after getting the call that my 82-year-old grandmother with dementia had assaulted a staff member and was facing criminal charges and eviction. I found her in the director's office with a swollen right hand, while the orderly, a young guy named Josh, held an ice pack to his split lip. The director, two nurses, and a security guard were all staring at my grandmother like she was a wild animal. Mrs. Miller has become violent, the director said immediately. We cannot tolerate assault on our staff. Josh is considering pressing charges and will need to find her alternative placement immediately. My grandmother looked smaller than ever in the oversized chair, her white hair messy and her hands trembling. She'd been here 2 years since, and her whole life she'd never hurt so much as a cockroach. Grandma, what happened? I asked, kneeling beside her chair. She grabbed my hand with her uninjured one and squeezed hard. He's been stealing my pain pills, sweetheart. The director sighed like she'd heard this before. Mrs. Miller has been making accusations for weeks. She claims medications are missing, typical paranoid delusions common with her condition. She punched me completely unprovoked, Josh said from behind his ice pack. I was just giving her morning medications and she attacked me. My grandmother's grip tightened on my hand. Those weren't my pills. He's been giving me sugar pills instead of my oxycodone. Everyone in the room exchanged those looks that meant they thought she was confused again. The director started explaining how dementia patients often become paranoid and aggressive, how they imagine conspiracies. I'd heard this speech before every time grandma had told me the staff was mistreating her. Now I was starting to wonder if I should have listened. Josh has worked here 5 years without incident, the director continued. He's one of our best. Your grandmother has been increasingly difficult lately, refusing medications, making accusations. Show them the pills, my grandmother said to Josh. Show them what you've been giving me. Josh shifted uncomfortably. I already disposed of today's medications after she attacked me, but they were her standard prescriptions, her pain management and anxiety. Liar, my grandmother said. You've been doing it for weeks. That's why I've been in so much pain. The director was already pulling up my grandmother's chart on her computer. Mrs. Miller has been complaining of increased pain, but we assumed it was disease progression. When did the pain get worse? I asked, my stomach starting to turn. About 6 weeks ago, the director said slowly. That's when he started as my nurse, my grandmother said. My pain pills, my Xanax, even my Ambien. He takes the real ones and gives me fakes. The nurses exchanged glances now that looked less skeptical. Why would I replace her medications? Josh asked, but his voice had changed slightly. My grandmother looked him. You sell them. I wasn't born yesterday. These are serious accusations, the director said, but she was looking at Josh differently now. We should check the medication counts. Check all you want, Josh said confidently. My grandmother turned to me, and for a moment her eyes were completely clear. Yesterday I confronted him privately. I told him I knew what he was doing. He leaned over my bed and said no one would believe an old woman with dementia. The room went cold. Josh's face changed before returning to injured innocence. She's putting words in my mouth, he said quickly. I would never say that. But one of the nurses had stepped back. The director was studying Josh. Has anyone else complained about pain medications not working? I asked. The director hesitated. We've had several residents mention it, but with dementia patients it's hard to determine what's real. Mr. Johnson said his morphine wasn't helping, the younger nurse said. Mrs. Garcia said her Ativan felt different. 3 people asked for dosage increases. They're all dementia patients, Josh said quickly. Of course they're confused. But what if they're not confused? I said, feeling rage building in me. What if you've been stealing from people who can't defend themselves? Josh stood up straighter. I don't have to listen to this. I'm the victim here. She assaulted me and I'm pressing charges. My grandmother was crying now, tears rolling down her cheeks. No one ever believes us. We're just crazy old people waiting to die. I wanted to scream at everyone in that room. My grandmother, who'd raised me, who'd been a chemistry professor for 40 years, was being dismissed as delusional. Test the pills, I said. Test what he's been giving her. I told you. I disposed of them after the assault, Josh said. Protocol for contaminated medications. The director was typing something. The controlled substance count should show if medications are missing. Everything will be accounted for, Josh said, but there was sweat on his forehead now. I followed protocol perfectly. My grandmother squeezed my hand again and looked at the director. Then it's good I kept evidence, she said clearly. Evidence you won't be able to ignore. Full story on the channel below.